So in this problem, we're trying to make sure we understand what it means to take an average, okay? Understand how the formula works. So if you want an average, you take the total and then you divide by the number of things you were adding up when you took the total, which would be, in this case, the total number of points divided by the number of tests that have points, right? Because Rue has earned 372 points in all of the tests, but then the overall average is 62. So what do we have here? We have a total number of points divided by a number of tests, and then that's going to give you average, right? Or sometimes called the mean. And so I have two of these numbers. I have 372 as the total number of points. I don't know the number of tests. I'm going to call it n just to make it simple. And then I know the average is 62. So let's see here. I have to solve for n, and whenever you want to solve for a variable that can be found in the denominator, what you do is you multiply both sides by whatever that denominator is. So in this case, it's just n, which makes it simple. But even if it wasn't just n, if n was in the denominator, you would multiply both sides by the denominator, which in this case turns into 372 equals 62n. Now again, keep your eyes on the prize. I want to solve for the letter n, and n is going to be 372 divided by 62, right? Because I'm dividing both sides here by 62. And so I like to write it out as with the variable I want on the left, so that's why I wrote n equals, and then it's 372 over 62. Now this should be some number of tests. So how are you going to do this without a calculator? You would just have to do some long division, or you could try some trial and error, right? And so here, 62, well, we'll just think about how 6 is going to go into 37, which is going to be 6 times, right? 6 times 6 is 36, so I've got 360, but then with the 6 times 2 is 12, so I've got 360 plus 12. And what is that? Oh, man, look at there. That is exactly the answer, right? 6 times 62 is, I could just do it like this, can I? Right? Yeah. Sweet, man. See? 372. That's exactly what I wanted. How was I doing the long division, right? I was looking at the 6 and how it goes into 37. It goes in 6 times, right? And then what do I do once I have that? I ask myself, what is 6 times 62? And so that's why I was doing this, right? So I ended up just kind of getting the answer immediately, which is to be expected because it should be a whole number. If it's a whole, it's just a certain number of tests, right? So regardless, you would just do some long division here to do 372 divided by 62 to get n equal to 6 tests. So that is the number of tests. So one more time, just to highlight what happened here. I chose to do some long division, but because of the simplicity of it, it ended up just being showing up automatically in a very similar fashion to how it would have shown up if you decided to do some trial and error, just trying some whole numbers. Now, the problem is if you try some trial and error, what if it hadn't been a whole number? Then you'd be in a problem. You'd be in, and you'd have to return to the long division. But since it is a whole number, it ended up being exactly the way it would work if you were to do trial and error, where you just picked a whole number, like 6, and multiplied it by 62. So what would that trial and error situation look like? It would just be saying, well, what number times 62 gets me 372? That's what that trial and error would look like. And it turns out to be 6, and that would be your answer. So the number of tests is 6.